Bilionário was at a café with his fiancée, until he noticed his ex working there with a baby. Welcome to Secrets Narrated. Before we begin, drop a comment telling us which city you're watching from. We love seeing how far our stories travel. When the story ends, don't forget to rate it from 0 to 10 and share what you felt along the way. And if you enjoy emotional stories filled with twists and hidden truths, make sure to follow Secrets Narrated so you don't miss the next one. Now Ian, sit back, relax, and enjoy every detail. Ethan Caldwell adjusted his Patek Philippe watch and glanced across the marble table at his fiancée, Victoria Ashford. She was describing the color palette for their upcoming engagement party, something about blush tones and gold accents. But his mind wandered to the quarterly reports waiting on his desk. At 38, Ethan had built an empire in financial technology that most people only dreamed of. Tall, with sharp jawline softened only by dark blue eyes that could pierce through any boardroom negotiation, he carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who had never heard the word "no" mean anything permanent. His tailored charcoal suit fit perfectly across broad shoulders, and his dark hair, peppered with just enough silver at the temples, gave him an air of distinguished authority. "Ethan, are you even listening?" Victoria's perfectly manicured hand waved in front of his face. "Of course," he lied smoothly. "Blush and gold. Very elegant." Victoria smiled, satisfied, and returned to scrolling through Pinterest on her phone. She was beautiful in that untouchable way. Blonde, polished, the daughter of old money who understood his world without needing explanations. No complications, no demands, just safe. The cafe she'd chosen was new, one of those trendy spots in downtown that charged $8 for coffee, and called it artisanal. Floor-to-ceiling windows let in harsh morning light, and industrial fixtures hung from exposed beams. Everything was Instagram-ready, including Victoria. Ethan took a sip of his espresso and let his gaze drift across the cafe. That's when he saw her. His hand froze halfway to setting down the cup. Behind the counter, wearing a simple white apron over a cream-colored sweater, stood Lena Whitmore. Her honey-brown hair was pulled back in a loose bun, a few rebellious strands framing her face. She looked thinner than he remembered, but those hazel eyes flecked with gold and green were unmistakable. It had been a year since their relationship imploded under the weight of unspoken expectations and impossible compromises. A year since she'd walked out of his penthouse, tears streaming down her face, saying she couldn't keep shrinking herself to fit into his life. But it wasn't Lena alone that made his blood run cold. In her arms, balanced on one hip as she wiped down the espresso machine with her free hand, was a baby. 6 months old, maybe 7. The infant had a thatch of dark hair and was gnawing contentedly on a teething ring while Lena worked. Ethan's throat closed. "Babe, should we do the party at the plaza or the—" Victoria's voice became white noise. Lena moved with practiced efficiency, taking orders, making drinks, soothing the baby when it fussed, all while maintaining a warm smile for customers. She looked exhausted. Beautiful, but exhausted. There were shadows under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide, and her movements carried the mechanical grace of someone running on too little sleep and too much coffee. This was her cafe. It had to be. He recognized the determination in every detail. The chalkboard menu with handwritten specials, the mismatched vintage chairs, the local art on the walls. All things she used to talk about when they were together. When he'd dismissed her dreams as cute hobbies she'd outgrow, she hadn't outgrown anything. She'd built it without him. "Ethan," Victoria's sharp tone finally broke through. "You're being incredibly rude." "I'm sorry," he managed. I need some air. We just got here." "I know. I'm sorry." He stood abruptly, nearly knocking over his chair. "Can you give me a minute?" Victoria's expression shifted from annoyed to concerned. "Are you feeling okay? You look pale." "I'm fine. Just need to make a call." The lie came automatically. He walked outside into the crisp morning air, his heart hammering against his ribs. Behind him, through the glass, he could see Lena laughing at something a customer said, the baby now reaching for her face with tiny hands. 6 months old. The timeline crashed over him like a wave. They'd broken up 13 months ago. He'd spent the first 6 months after that in what his therapist called a depressive episode, holed up in his Hamptons estate, ignoring calls, letting his company run on autopilot while he drowned in whiskey and regret. His assistant had fielded everything. His phone had stayed off for weeks at a time. If someone had tried to reach him, if Lena had tried to reach him, Ethan's hands shook as he pulled out his phone. His fingers hovered over her contact. Still saved, he'd never been able to delete it. But he didn't press call. What would he even say? Through the window, he watched her adjust the baby on her hip, saw the way she kissed the top of its head absently while preparing someone's latte. The gesture was so natural, so maternal, so completely Lena. She'd wanted children. He'd said they had time. She'd wanted to work, to build something of her own. He'd said she didn't need to, that he could provide everything. He'd said a lot of things that translated to wait, and she'd waited until she couldn't anymore. Victoria appeared beside him, coat in hand. Your coffee's getting cold, and frankly, so am I. What's going on? Ethan looked at his fiancée, this woman he'd chosen precisely because she'd never challenge him, never push him, never make him feel anything too deeply. And then back at the cafe window, at Lena, at the baby with dark hair and perfect tiny hands, at everything he'd lost while he was too busy protecting himself from feeling anything at all. Nothing, he heard himself say. Let's go. But as Victoria linked her arm through his and steered him toward the car, Ethan couldn't stop looking back. And for one brief, terrible moment, Lena glanced up from the counter and their eyes met through the glass. She didn't smile, didn't frown, just looked at him with an expression he couldn't read before turning back to her work. The baby nestled securely against her chest. If you saw your past standing behind a coffee counter with a child in their arms, would you walk away or walk in? The penthouse felt emptier than usual that night. Ethan stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Manhattan skyline, a glass of bourbon untouched in his hand. Behind him, Victoria moved through the space with her usual efficiency, discussing seating arrangements for their engagement party with someone on speakerphone. He wasn't listening. All he could see was Lena's face, the exhaustion in her eyes, the baby's tiny fingers gripping her apron, the way she'd looked at him through that window, not with anger or longing, but with something far worse. Indifference. Ethan, hello? Victoria appeared at his elbow. Did you hear anything I just said? Sorry. He set down the glass. Long day. You've been distracted since this morning, since that cafe. Her blue eyes narrowed with the calculated perception of someone who'd grown up reading people at country club fundraisers. What happened there? Nothing happened. Don't insult my intelligence. Victoria crossed her arms. You saw someone. Ethan considered lying, considered deflecting. But Victoria wasn't stupid, and he was too tired to play games. An ex, he admitted. Someone I haven't seen in over a year. And that rattled you this much? There was something sharp in her voice now. It must have been quite the relationship. It was complicated. Everything with you is complicated, Ethan. Victoria's perfectly glossed lips pressed into a thin line. That's why we work. I don't do complicated. I do clear expectations and mutual benefit. It should have bothered him, that clinical assessment of their engagement. But it didn't. That was exactly why he'd proposed. No mess. No chaos. No risk of feeling anything that might crack him open the way Lena had. I need to take care of something, he said quietly. Tomorrow. Take care of what? Something I should have handled a year ago. Victoria studied him for a long moment, then picked up her Hermes bag. I'm going home. Call me when you've sorted out whatever this is. But Ethan? She paused at the door. We have a life to build. Don't go looking for ghosts. The door clicked shut behind her, leaving Ethan alone with the city lights and the question that had been burning in his chest since that morning. Was that baby his? The next morning, Ethan arrived at the cafe at 6:30, before the morning rush. Through the window he could see Lena inside setting up for the day. The baby was in a portable crib behind the counter, still sleeping, bundled in a blue blanket. Blue. A boy. His hands trembled as he pushed open the door. A small bell chimed overhead. Lena looked up from arranging pastries in the display case. For a split second something flickered across her face. Surprise, maybe, or dread, but it vanished behind a mask of professional courtesy. We're not officially open yet, but I can make you something if you need it. Her voice was steady, neutral, giving nothing away. Lena, that's not my name anymore. She didn't look at him, just continued arranging croissants with meticulous precision. Legally, I mean. I go by my middle name now, Harper Whitmore. The small revelation felt like a punch. She'd literally changed her identity, erased pieces of herself, pieces he'd known, to become someone new. Why? Fresh start. She straightened, finally meeting his eyes. What are you doing here, Ethan? God, she was beautiful. More beautiful than he remembered. Her honey brown hair was loose today, falling past her shoulders in soft waves. She wore jeans and an oversized cardigan that slipped off one shoulder, revealing the delicate line of her collarbone. No makeup except for a hint of mascara. She'd never needed it, but it was her eyes that destroyed him. Those hazel eyes that used to look at him like he hung the moon. Now they looked at him like he was just another customer. "I needed to see you," he said. "To talk." About? He glanced at the crib where the baby slept. About him. Lena's jaw tightened. "His name is Oliver." Oliver. Ethan repeated the name like a prayer. "How old is he?" 6 months. Almost 7. The math was simple, devastating. "Lena, Harper, I need to know. Is he mine?" "Yes." She cut him off, her voice sharp now. 100% mine. "That's not what I meant, isn't it?" She turned away, busying herself with the espresso machine. "You want to know if you're the father, if you have some claim, some right to walk back into a life you never wanted in the first place. I tried to call you." The lie came out before he could stop it. Lena's hands stilled on the machine. Then she laughed, a bitter, hollow sound that made his chest ache. "No, you didn't." She spun to face him. "I called you, Ethan. 17 times in 2 weeks. I showed up at your office. Your assistant told me you were unavailable. I sent emails, texts. I even wrote you a goddamn letter and had it couriered to your building." Ethan's blood ran cold. "I never got." "I know, because you disappeared, completely off the grid for 6 months. And when you finally resurfaced, I'd already made peace with doing this alone." The baby stirred in the crib, making small mewling sounds. Lena immediately went to him, lifting him with a practiced gentleness that spoke of thousands of repetitions. Oliver, his son, he was certain now, nuzzled into her neck, tiny fists clutching her cardigan. "I was going through something," Ethan said quietly. "After we ended, I wasn't okay." "And you think I was?" Lena's voice cracked. "You think it was easy for me? But I didn't have the luxury of falling apart, Ethan. I had a baby coming, bills to pay, a dream I'd postponed my entire adult life that suddenly became my only option for survival." She kissed the top of Oliver's head, and the gesture was so tender, so full of fierce protection, that Ethan felt something break inside him. "Let me help now," he said. "Please, let me help?" She stared at him incredulously. "You want to help? Where were you when I was throwing up every morning while trying to secure a business loan? Where were you when I went into labor alone at 3 a.m. and had to call an Uber to the hospital? Where were you for his first smile, his first laugh, the first time he slept through the night? I didn't know. Because you didn't want to know. You wanted me to fit into your perfect little life on your perfect little timeline. No mess, no complications, and a baby, Ethan? A baby is the ultimate complication." Oliver started to fuss, picking up on his mother's tension. Lena immediately softened, bouncing him gently and humming something low and soothing. The transformation was instant, from warrior to mother in a heartbeat. "I'm not that person anymore," Ethan said, his voice raw. "The person who said those things, who made you feel like your dreams didn't matter. I'm not him. Then who are you?" It was a simple question. It shouldn't have felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. "I don't know," he admitted. "But I want to find out. And I need to know my son." Lena studied him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Oliver had calmed now, his dark blue eyes. Ethan's eyes, unmistakably, peering at this stranger with innocent curiosity. "You can't just walk in here and claim him because it's suddenly convenient," Lena said finally. "He's not a stock option you can exercise when the market's right." "I know. Do you? Because you have a track record of treating people like investments. Calculated risks. Things you can control. You were never—" "I was exactly that." She cut him off. "Something beautiful you wanted to keep in a glass case. And when I asked for more, when I asked to be a partner instead of a possession, you let me walk away." The truth of it hit him like a physical blow. The bell above the door chimed. A customer walked in, breaking the tension. Lena immediately shifted back into cafe owner mode, greeting them with a warm smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I need to work," she told Ethan quietly. "And you need to leave. When can I see him again?" "I don't know." "Harper, please." "I said I don't know." Her voice held a warning now. "I need time to think. This isn't just about what you want or what I want. It's about what's best for Oliver." Ethan nodded slowly, even though everything in him screamed to stay, to fight, to not let her disappear again. As he turned to leave, Oliver made a small sound, something between a coo and a laugh. Ethan looked back, The baby was staring right at him, one tiny hand reaching out as if to say hello, or goodbye. Ethan walked out into the morning cold. The image of his son's face burned into his memory. He'd spent a year running from pain. Now he had to run toward it, if she'd even let him. 3 days passed before Ethan heard from her. 3 days of staring at his phone, jumping at every notification, lying awake at night imagining Oliver's face. 3 days of Victoria asking pointed questions he couldn't answer and board meetings he attended in body only. The text came on Thursday evening, short and direct. Saturday, 2 p.m., Washington Square Park. Bring coffee. Black, no sugar. She remembered how he took his coffee. That small detail shouldn't have mattered, but it did. Saturday arrived cold and bright. Ethan got to the park 40 minutes early, 2 coffees in hand, watching parents push strollers and kids chase pigeons. Normal families doing normal things. A world he'd never imagined himself part of. When Lena appeared, pushing a navy blue stroller along the path, something in his chest seized. She wore a long camel coat over dark jeans, her hair pulled back in a ponytail, sunglasses hiding her eyes. Even dressed down, even exhausted, she moved with that quiet grace he'd never been able to forget. "You're early," she said, taking the coffee he offered. No hello, no smile. "Didn't want to miss you." "I wouldn't have left. I said I'd be here." She sat on a bench and began unbuckling Oliver from the stroller. The baby was awake, dressed in a tiny puffy jacket that made him look like a small, adorable marshmallow. Ethan sat carefully, keeping distance between them. "Thank you for this. I'm not doing it for you." Lena lifted Oliver into her lap. "I'm doing it because he deserves to know his father. If you actually stick around." The if hung heavy between them. Oliver stared at Ethan with solemn curiosity, his dark blue eyes. Ethan's eyes, taking in every detail. One tiny hand was stuffed in his mouth, the other gripping Lena's finger. "Can I?" Ethan gestured hesitantly. "Hold him?" Lena's jaw tightened. "He doesn't know you." "I know, but I'd like him to." After a long moment, she nodded. "Support his head. He's stronger now, but still. Just be careful." Ethan's hand shook slightly as Lena transferred the baby into his arms. Oliver was warm and solid and impossibly small. He smelled like baby soap and something sweet, maybe Lena's perfume. The baby studied him with serious concentration, then reached up and grabbed Ethan's nose. A laugh burst out of him. Unexpected, genuine, strong grip. "He gets that from me." There was the ghost of a smile on Lena's face. "Stubborn too." "Definitely from you then." "Don't." Her smile vanished. "Don't do that. Don't pretend this is some cute reunion where we joke like old times. We're not those people anymore." Ethan's throat tightened. "I know." Oliver made a gurgling sound and kicked his feet, his small hands now exploring Ethan's face with fascinated intensity. Tiny fingers poked at his mouth, his cheek, his eyebrow. "He's beautiful," Ethan whispered. "He looks like you." "I know." Lena's voice was flat. "Everyone says it. Same eyes, same chin, same serious expression when he's concentrating." Does he have my name? On his birth certificate?" "No." The single word hit like a slap. "Oliver Harper Whitmore," Lena continued. "My name only. Because when I registered him, I had no idea if you'd ever be in the picture. I want to be. In the picture. I want—" "What do you want, Ethan?" She turned to face him fully, pulling her sunglasses off. Her hazel eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted. "Really? Because I need to know if you're here, because you feel guilty, or because you actually want to be a father." "Both," he admitted. "Is that allowed?" "I don't know." She leaned back against the bench, wrapping her arms around herself. "I don't know what's allowed anymore. This wasn't supposed to happen. You weren't supposed to find out like this, walking into my cafe, seeing me with him. I had a whole plan." "What plan?" "To tell you. Eventually. When I was ready. When Oliver was older and I'd figured out the right words." She laughed bitterly. "I've spent 6 months rehearsing this conversation in my head, and now that it's happening, I have no idea what to say." Oliver started to fuss, his small face scrunching up in pre-cry mode. Lena immediately reached for him, but Ethan instinctively began bouncing him gently the way he'd seen her do. "Hey, buddy, it's okay. I've got you." The baby quieted, staring at him with wide eyes. "Natural," Lena said quietly, something unreadable in her voice. "Beginner's luck. Maybe." She took a sip of her coffee, still watching them. "He's teething, that's why he's been fussy. The back molars are coming in. Is there anything I can do? Medicine or—" "I have it handled." I didn't mean, I know what you meant. She cut him off. You meant to help. But that's the thing, Ethan. I don't need your help. I've been doing this alone for 6 months. 7, if you count pregnancy. I have systems, routines, a life that works without you in it. Then why am I here? Because Oliver deserves a father who actually shows up. Because I won't be the person who kept his dad away out of spite. Her voice cracked slightly. Because despite everything, despite how much you hurt me, I know you're not a bad person. You're just someone who couldn't handle anything that didn't fit your plan. Ethan looked down at Oliver, who had grabbed his finger now and was holding on with surprising strength. I didn't know how to be what you needed, he said quietly. You were so alive, Lena. Harper. You wanted everything. Career, family, adventure. And I was so goddamn terrified of losing control that I tried to manage you like a business deal. I never wanted to be managed. I wanted to be loved. I did love you. Past tense. She met his gaze. That's the problem, isn't it? Love shouldn't stop just because things get hard. Before he could respond, his phone buzzed. Victoria's name flashed on the screen. Dinner tonight? Mother wants to discuss the venue. Lena saw the name. Something shuddered, closed in her expression. You're engaged. It wasn't a question. Yes. How long? 3 months? Lena stood abruptly, reaching for Oliver. I need to get him home for his nap. Wait. No, this was a mistake. She buckled Oliver back into the stroller with quick, efficient movements. You have a whole life. A fiancé. A future that doesn't include showing up randomly to play dad when it's convenient. It's not like that, isn't it? She turned on him, and there was finally fire in her eyes. What's your plan here, Ethan? See Oliver on weekends? Play catch-up for missed milestones? All while building your perfect life with someone else? I don't know, I don't have it all figured out. Well, you better figure it out. Her voice dropped to something dangerous. Because I won't let you drift in and out of his life. He's not a side project. He's not something you get to dabble in when your main life gets boring. That's not fair. Fair? She laughed harshly. You want to talk about fair? I held his hand during every vaccination. I walked him through his first night terror. I've changed approximately 1,000 diapers. Where were you? Depressed, broken, barely functional. The words exploded out of him. You want honesty? Fine. After you left, I fell apart. Completely. I spent 6 months drunk or sleeping or staring at walls. My business almost tanked. I almost tanked. So no, I wasn't there. But not because I didn't care. Because I cared too much and handled it like shit. Lena stared at him, breathing hard. Oliver had started crying. Real crying now, picking up on the tension. She lifted him from the stroller, holding him close, swaying slightly. You don't get to use your pain as an excuse for missing his life. I'm not trying to excuse it, I'm trying to explain it. Well, your explanation doesn't change anything. Oliver still needed a father. I still needed... She trailed off, shaking her head. It doesn't matter what I needed. That chapter's closed. She started walking away, pushing the stroller with one hand while holding Oliver with the other. When can I see him again? Ethan called after her. She stopped but didn't turn around. I don't know. Please don't shut me out, not again. You shut yourself out, Ethan. She finally looked back and her eyes were wet now. I'm just protecting my son from getting attached to someone who might disappear the moment things get difficult. I won't disappear. Prove it. Then she was gone, disappearing into the crowd of weekend park-goers, leaving Ethan standing alone with his cold coffee and the ghost of his son's weight still in his arms. His phone buzzed again. Victoria. Ethan? Dinner at 7. Don't be late. He stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, Can't tonight. Something came up. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. This is becoming a pattern. He pocketed the phone without responding. For the first time in his carefully constructed life, Ethan didn't have a plan, didn't have an answer, didn't have control. All he had was the memory of his son's hand gripping his finger, and the terrifying certainty that it might not be enough. Victoria was waiting in his penthouse when he got home that night. She sat on the white leather sofa, legs crossed, perfectly composed in a silk blouse and tailored slacks. A glass of wine rested on the coffee table beside her, and her expression was the careful neutral she used in hostile business negotiations. You gave your doorman permission to let me up, she said before he could ask. 3 weeks ago, remember? Ethan set his keys on the entry table. I remember. Good. Because I was starting to think you'd forgotten a lot of things lately. Dinners, calls, the fact that we're supposed to be planning a wedding. Victoria? Who is she? The question was sharp, direct. The ex from the cafe. I want a name. Ethan moved to the bar cart and poured himself a scotch. He needed it. Her name is Harper. Harper. Victoria repeated it like she was cataloging information. And what does Harper want from you? It's not about what she wants. Then what is it about? Because you've been distracted, distant, and downright absent ever since you saw her. So either she's blackmailing you or there's something you're not telling me. Ethan took a long drink, feeling the burn. She has a son, 6 months old. Victoria's expression didn't change, but something flickered behind her eyes. And he's mine. The silence that followed was deafening. Victoria stood slowly, smoothing down her blouse with deliberate precision. Yours? Yes. You're certain? Yes. DNA test? I don't need one. He looks exactly like me. That's not proof, Ethan. That's emotion. She walked to the window, her heels clicking against the hardwood. When did you find out? Monday, when I saw them at the cafe. And you're just telling me now? Her voice rose slightly, the first crack in her composure. 5 days. You've known for 5 days and said nothing. I needed time to process. Process? She spun around. We're engaged, Ethan. Engaged. You don't get to process major life developments alone anymore. You're right, I should have told you sooner. Damn right you should have. She grabbed her wine glass and downed the rest of it. Does this woman want money? Is she planning to sue for child support? She doesn't want anything, she's been raising him alone. How noble. The sarcasm was acid. So what now, you're just going to, what, play weekend dad? Disrupt our entire life for a child who's been fine without you? He's my son. He's a complication. Victoria's jaw tightened. One that could have been avoided if you'd been more careful. Careful? Anger flared in his chest. We were together for 3 years, we were in love, or I thought we were. Clearly not enough to make it work. No, not enough. The admission hurt more than it should. But that doesn't change the fact that Oliver exists. That he's mine. That I have a responsibility. What about your responsibility to me? Victoria's voice cracked. To us? We have plans, Ethan. A future. And you're ready to blow that up for a woman who walked away and a baby who doesn't even know you. I'm not blowing anything up, I'm trying to figure out how to be in my son's life while staying in mine. She laughed bitterly. That's not how this works. You can't have both worlds. The responsible father and the carefree bachelor billionaire. I was never carefree. No, you were careful, controlled, safe. She moved closer, her perfume sharp and expensive. That's what I loved about you. No drama, no chaos, no emotional landmines. And now you're telling me there's a child, your child, with an ex-girlfriend who makes you look at her like you've never looked at me. Victoria, don't. She held up a hand. I saw your face at that cafe. I'm not stupid. Whatever you felt for her, it's not gone. Ethan couldn't deny it. The lie wouldn't come. Victoria's expression hardened. I need to think. About us. About whether I want to sign up for this. I understand. Do you? She grabbed her purse. Because from where I'm standing, you've already made your choice. You just don't have the guts to admit it yet. She left without another word, the door closing with a soft, final click. Ethan stood alone in his pristine penthouse, surrounded by expensive furniture and cold marble, feeling more lost than he had in months. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Harper. Oliver has a doctor's appointment Tuesday at 10 a.m., Columbia Pediatrics. You can come if you want. Don't be late. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. 1,000 responses ran through his mind. Thank you, I'll be there. I'm sorry, I miss you. He typed back. I'll be there. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Okay, 1 word, but it felt like a doorway cracking open. Tuesday morning arrived with freezing rain. Ethan canceled his 9 a.m. meeting, something he never did, and arrived at the pediatrician's office 15 minutes early. The waiting room was cheerful chaos. Bright murals covered the walls, toys scattered across the floor, and 6 parents wrangled toddlers in various states of meltdown. Harper sat in the corner, Oliver on her lap, reading him a board book. She wore jeans and an oversized sweater, her hair in a messy bun, no makeup. She looked younger like this, softer. When she saw him, surprise flickered across her face. You came. You invited me. He sat beside her, keeping a respectful distance. I said I'd be here. People say a lot of things. Oliver looked up at the sound of Ethan's voice, his little face breaking into a gummy smile. He reached out, making grabby hands. "He remembers you," Harper said quietly, something like wonder in her voice. "Can I?" She nodded, transferring the baby into his arms. Oliver immediately grabbed Ethan's tie, pulling it toward his mouth. "He puts everything in his mouth lately," Harper warned. "Teething. It's okay. It's just a tie. It's a Hermes tie. It's just fabric." Something shifted in her expression, almost a smile. "You've changed." "Have I?" The Ethan I knew would have had a heart attack if someone drooled on his designer accessories. "Maybe I have different priorities now." Before she could respond, a nurse called out, "Oliver Whitmore?" They stood together, an awkward unit, and followed the nurse back. The exam room was small, decorated with cartoon animals and a chart showing developmental milestones. "Who do we have here?" The pediatrician, Dr. Kim, was a woman in her 50s with warm eyes and efficient movements. She glanced between them. "And you both are?" "I'm his mother," Harper said quickly. "And I'm—" Ethan hesitated. "His father," Harper finished quietly. "He's Oliver's father." Dr. Kim's eyebrows rose slightly, but she recovered smoothly. "Wonderful. Dad, if you could hold him on the exam table while I do the measurements." The appointment passed in a blur of measurements, reflexes, and developmental checks. Oliver performed beautifully, rolling over, grabbing toys, responding to sounds. Dr. Kim praised his progress, noted his weight and height on the growth chart, and declared him perfectly healthy. "He's thriving," she said, making notes. "You're doing an excellent job, Mom." "Thank you," Harper said, but Ethan heard the exhaustion beneath the words. "Any concerns? Questions?" Dr. Kim looked between them. "Sleep," Harper admitted. "He's still waking up twice a night. I keep reading that he should be sleeping through by now. Every baby is different. Some sleep through at 3 months, some at 12. You're doing fine." Dr. Kim smiled. "Is Dad helping with night wakings?" An awkward silence fell. "He's new to this," Harper said carefully. "We're figuring out the arrangement." Dr. Kim's eyes softened with understanding. "Well, my advice? Share the load when you can. Babies need consistency, but parents need sleep. Teamwork makes a difference." After the appointment, they stood in the parking lot, rain drumming on the overhang above them. Oliver had fallen asleep against Ethan's shoulder, his small body relaxed and trusting. "He likes you," Harper said, adjusting the baby's jacket. "That's unexpected." "Why?" "Babies usually take time to warm up to new people, but he just—" She gestured helplessly. "He knew you, somehow. Maybe he inherited my excellent taste." The attempt at humor fell flat. Harper reached for Oliver. "I should get him home. Nap time." "Harper, wait." Ethan's free hand caught her wrist gently. "Let me help. Really help. Not just show up for appointments. I want to be there for the 3 a.m. wakings and the teething pain and all of it. You have a company to run. A fiancé to placate. Victoria and I—" He released her wrist. "She needs time to think about things. About us. Because of Oliver? Because of everything." Harper studied him for a long moment, rain creating a curtain around them. "You can't just decide to be a father when your other life falls apart, Ethan. This isn't a backup plan. It's not. I swear it's not." "Then what is it?" "It's me trying to be better than I was, trying to show up the way I should have from the beginning." He looked down at Oliver's sleeping face. "I can't fix the past, but maybe I can be present for the future." "Present how? An hour here? A visit there? However you'll let me." His voice was raw now. "I know I have no right to ask for anything. I know I've already missed so much. But please, give me a chance to prove I'm not just talk." Harper's eyes were wet, but she blinked back the tears. "One chance, Ethan, that's all you get. You disappear again, you miss appointments, you treat him like an obligation, we're done." "I understand." "Do you? Because this isn't about your guilt or your redemption arc. This is about a baby who deserves stability, who deserves a father who actually wants to be there, not one who feels obligated. I want to be there." She held his gaze, searching for something. Then she pulled out her phone. "Give me your number, the real one, not your assistant's line." He recited it. A moment later, his phone buzzed. "Tuesday and Thursday evenings, 6 to 8 p.m. Saturday afternoons, 2 to 5 p.m. You can come to the apartment. I'll text you the address. Don't bring gifts. Don't try to buy your way in. Just show up." His throat tightened. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet." She carefully took Oliver from his arms, and Ethan immediately felt the loss. "Prove you mean it. That's all I'm asking." She walked to her car, an old Honda that had seen better days, and buckled Oliver into his car seat. Ethan watched until they drove away, until the taillights disappeared in the rain. Then he stood alone in the parking lot, soaked through, his expensive tie destroyed by baby drool. And for the first time in a year, he felt like maybe, just maybe, he was exactly where he needed to be. Thursday evening, Ethan stood outside Harper's apartment building with sweating palms and a racing heart. He'd negotiated million-dollar deals without breaking a sweat, but the prospect of 2 hours with his 6-month-old son terrified him. The building was in Brooklyn, a walk-up in a neighborhood that had seen better days but was slowly gentrifying. The brick facade needed work, and the intercom buzzed with static when Harper's voice came through. Third floor, doors open. The stairwell smelled like cooking, garlic, spices, something sweet. From behind various doors came the sounds of life. A baby crying, a couple arguing in Spanish, a TV playing too loud. Harper's apartment was 3C. The door was indeed unlocked. "In here," her voice called from inside. The apartment was small, a studio really, with a partition separating the sleeping area. But it was cozy. String lights hung across the ceiling, plants crowded the windowsills, and colorful tapestries covered the walls. A small kitchenette occupied one corner, and Oliver's crib stood near the window, surrounded by baskets of toys and baby supplies. It was nothing like Ethan's penthouse, but it felt more like a home than anywhere he'd ever lived. Harper emerged from behind the partition, pulling her hair into a ponytail. She wore leggings and an old college sweatshirt, bare feet padding across the worn hardwood. "He just woke up from his nap," she said, gesturing toward the crib where Oliver was making happy, babbling sounds. "He'll need a diaper change, then you can feed him. Bottles are in the fridge. Just warm one in the bowl of hot water, test it on your wrist. Not too hot." "Okay." Ethan approached the crib slowly. Oliver looked up at him and grinned, kicking his feet excitedly. "You remember me, little man?" He has a good memory. Harper was pulling on sneakers now, grabbing a jacket. "I'm going to the grocery store. Should take about an hour. There's diapers under the changing table, wipes, cream if he gets a rash. Don't let him roll off anything. Call me if..." "Harper." Ethan turned to look at her. "I've got this. Go." She hesitated, her hand on the doorknob. "You've never changed a diaper. Then I'll learn. That's the point, right?" Something flickered across her face. Doubt, maybe, or hope. Okay. I'll be back soon." The door closed behind her, and suddenly Ethan was alone with his son. Oliver stared up at him expectantly, as if to say, "Well, what now?" "Right." Ethan rolled up his sleeves. "Diaper change. How hard can it be?" 20 minutes later, he had his answer. Very hard. Oliver thought the whole process was hilarious. Every time Ethan tried to fasten the diaper, tiny feet kicked it away. When he finally got it secured, he realized it was on backwards. The second attempt resulted in Oliver peeing mid-change, soaking the changing pad in Ethan's shirt. "Really?" Ethan stared at his son, who gurgled happily. "That's how we're playing this?" By the third attempt, he'd figured out the trick. Distract with a toy, move fast, secure it before the baby could protest. The diaper wasn't perfect, but it was on and functional. "Victory," he muttered, lifting Oliver into his arms. Small victories. He prepared the bottle exactly as Harper instructed, testing the temperature multiple times. Oliver latched on immediately, his small hands gripping Ethan's fingers as he drank. And suddenly, everything else fell away. The penthouse, the company, Victoria, the mess of his life. None of it mattered as much as this tiny human trusting him enough to fall asleep in his arms. Ethan sat in the rocking chair near the window, careful not to disturb him. Through the glass, Brooklyn stretched out in a patchwork of lights and lives. Somewhere out there, Harper was shopping for groceries, probably worrying about whether he was managing. He was managing. Barely, but he was. His phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. "We need to talk." "Tomorrow?" He ignored it and pulled up his photo app instead, taking a picture of Oliver's sleeping face. The baby's mouth was slightly open, one fist curled against his cheek, impossibly peaceful. The door opened an hour later. Harper came in laden with grocery bags, stopping short when she saw them in the rocking chair. "He's asleep," Ethan whispered. "I can see that." She set down the bags carefully. "How did it go?" "We had an incident with the diaper, and I'm pretty sure I'm wearing more formula than he drank, but we survived." A real smile broke across her face, the first genuine one he'd seen from her since the cafe. "That's parenthood. You learn by disaster." "Apparently." He stood slowly, transferring Oliver to her arms. "He's amazing, Harper. You've done an incredible job." "Thank you." She settled the baby into his crib, covering him with a soft blanket. When she turned back, something had shifted in her expression. "You want coffee? If you're offering." She moved to the kitchenette, pulling out a French press. "I only have the cheap stuff. Not like whatever artisanal blend you're used to. I'll survive." They sat at her small table, two mismatched mugs between them. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance, and someone upstairs was playing piano, badly, but with enthusiasm. "This is nice," Ethan said. "Your place. It's tiny. It's a home. That's more than I can say for my apartment." Harper wrapped her hands around her mug. "Why did you propose to Victoria?" The question caught him off guard. "That's direct. I'm tired of dancing around things. You loved me once, or said you did. Now you're engaged to someone else. I'm trying to understand who you are now." Ethan stared into his coffee. "I proposed because she was safe, because I was terrified of ever feeling the way I felt after you left. Victoria doesn't ask for pieces of me I don't know how to give. And I did? You asked for everything, and I didn't know how to give that without losing myself. So you lost me instead." Yes, the word hung heavy between them. "Stupidest decision I ever made." Harper's eyes glistened. "You can't say things like that." "Why not? It's true. Because it's too late. We're not those people anymore. You have Victoria. I have Oliver. We have different lives." "Do we?" He leaned forward. "Because from where I'm sitting, our lives are pretty connected now. Through Oliver. Not through us. Isn't that enough?" "I don't know." She looked away. "I spent 6 months convincing myself I was over you. That I didn't need you. That Oliver and I were better off without the chaos you bring. And now? Now you're here, sitting at my table smelling like baby spit up, and I'm remembering all the reasons I fell in love with you in the first place." Her voice broke slightly. "And it's terrifying." Before Ethan could respond, his phone rang. Victoria's name flashed on the screen. Harper's expression closed off immediately. "You should get that." "Harper." "Answer it, Ethan. She's your fiancée." He rejected the call. "I'm not here for her right now. I'm here for Oliver, and maybe—" He hesitated. "Maybe for you too." "Don't." She stood abruptly. "Don't make this about us. That ship sailed. We're co-parents now, that's all." "Is it?" "It has to be." But she wouldn't meet his eyes. "You should go. It's past 8. Ethan stood slowly, gathering his jacket. At the door, he paused. "Harper?" "Yeah? Thank you. For letting me in. For giving me a chance." She nodded, still not looking at him. "Tuesdays and Thursdays, don't forget." "I won't." He made it down 2 flights of stairs before his phone rang again. This time he answered. "Victoria." "Where are you?" Her voice was tight. "I've been trying to reach you all evening." "I was busy." "With what?" "With my son." Silence. Then, "I see. I don't think you do." "No, I do. Perfectly clear." She took a sharp breath. "I'm calling off the engagement." His heart should have broken. Should have felt something. But all he felt was relief. "Victoria, don't. This isn't a negotiation. You made your choice the moment you walked into that cafe and saw her. I'm just acknowledging reality. I'm sorry." "No, you're not. Not really." Her voice softened slightly. "I hope she's worth it, Ethan. I hope that baby and that woman and whatever fairy tale you're building in your head is worth throwing away what we had." "What did we have, Victoria?" "Really?" Another long silence. "Not enough, apparently. Goodbye, Ethan." The line went dead. Ethan stood in the stairwell, phone still pressed to his ear, and waited for the guilt to come. The regret. The panic of throwing away a perfectly suitable future. But all he felt was the phantom weight of Oliver in his arms, and the ghost of Harper's smile when she'd looked at him across the table. He climbed back up 1 flight of stairs, stood outside her door, raised his hand to knock, and stopped. Not yet. Too soon. Too much. Instead, he descended back into the cold night, got into his car and drove toward a penthouse that had never felt emptier. His phone buzzed. A text from Harper. "You forgot your tie. Oliver is using it as a chew toy. Consider it payment for the diaper incident." Despite everything, the broken engagement, the uncertain future, the mess of his life, Ethan smiled and texted back. "Keep it. He needs it more than I do." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "See you Saturday." 2 words, but they felt like a promise, or maybe just hope. He'd take either. 3 weeks passed in a rhythm that felt almost normal. Tuesday and Thursday evenings, Ethan showed up at Harper's door. Saturday afternoons, he'd arrive with coffee, hers black with no sugar, his with cream, and they'd spend hours in her small apartment while Oliver crawled between them, discovering the world one toy at a time. Ethan learned the secret language of fatherhood, the different cries that meant hungry versus tired versus just wanting attention, how to warm a bottle to the exact right temperature, the precise bounce and sway combination that would soothe Oliver to sleep. Which stuffed animal was the favorite this week? He also learned about Harper in ways he'd never taken time to know before. She sang to Oliver, old folk songs her grandmother had taught her. She had a habit of tucking her hair behind her left ear when she was nervous. She took her coffee black because she'd worked in cafes since college and had learned to appreciate the pure taste. She read constantly, novels stacked on every available surface, romance and mystery and literary fiction all mixed together. And she was exhausted, bone-deep, soul-weary exhausted in a way that no amount of sleep could fix. It was Saturday afternoon when everything shifted. Ethan let himself in. Harper had given him a key 2 weeks ago, a gesture of trust that had meant more than she probably knew, and found Oliver in his playpen, but no Harper in sight. Harper? A muffled sound came from behind the partition. He walked over and froze. She was curled on her bed, still in yesterday's clothes, mascara smudged under her eyes. The cafe apron lay crumpled on the floor beside her, and she was crying, silent, exhausted tears that spoke of someone who'd been holding it together too long. Hey, he sat on the edge of the bed carefully. What happened? Nothing. Everything. I don't know. Her voice was raw. My morning barista called in sick. Again. 3rd time this month. I had to open alone, handle the rush, close early because I couldn't leave Oliver in the back room all day. I'm losing customers, Ethan. People who depend on their morning coffee, and I'm letting them down because I can't be in 2 places at once. You're doing everything alone. Because I have to. Because this is what I chose when I decided to keep him. To build something of my own. To not depend on anyone. She sat up, wiping her face angrily. And I love him. God, I love him so much it terrifies me. But I'm so tired. I'm tired of choosing between my son and my business, between sleep and bills, between being a good mother and being a functioning human being. Ethan pulled her into his arms before he could think better of it. She stiffened, then melted against him, her tears soaking his shirt. Let me help, he said quietly. Really help. I can't ask you to... You're not asking. I'm offering. What do you need? She pulled back, looking at him with red-rimmed eyes. I need to sleep. For more than 3 hours at a time. I need reliable staff. She laughed bitterly. I need a miracle. How about a partner instead? What? Let me invest in the cafe. Not as charity, as a business partner. You keep creative control, keep ownership. I just provide capital for hiring staff, maybe expanding the space, giving you room to breathe. Ethan, no, I can't. Why not? You're drowning, Harper. And I can help. Why is that so hard to accept? Because I've spent 6 months proving I don't need you. The words burst out of her. Proving I can do this alone. That I'm not some damsel waiting for rescue. If I take your money now, what does that say? That I failed? It says you're human. That parenting and entrepreneurship are both full-time jobs, and trying to do both alone is impossible. He caught her face gently. It says you're smart enough to accept help when it's offered. That's not weakness. That's survival. She stared at him, breathing hard. I don't want your pity. It's not pity. It's me trying to be the partner I should have been from the start. His thumb brushed away a tear on her cheek. Let me do this. Please. Why? So you can feel less guilty? Maybe partly, but also because I believe in you, in what you're building, and because Oliver deserves a mother who isn't running herself into the ground. Harper's lower lip trembled. I hate that you're right. Is that a yes? It's a maybe. I need to see actual numbers. A real proposal. This is my business, Ethan. My dream. I won't let you swoop in and I wouldn't want that. He smiled. You're the boss. I'm just the money. A small, watery laugh escaped her. Never thought I'd hear Ethan Caldwell call himself just the money. Fatherhood is humbling. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. From the other room, Oliver made happy, gurgling sounds, talking to his toys. I should check on him, Harper said, but didn't move. Or we could sit here for 5 more minutes. He's fine. 5 minutes. She leaned her head on his shoulder and Ethan's heart stuttered. Thank you for showing up, for staying, for not being who I thought you were. Who did you think I was? Someone who'd get bored and leave when things got hard. To be fair, that's who I was a year ago. He pressed a kiss to the top of her head without thinking. But people change. She looked up at him, and suddenly they were too close. Her hazel eyes were still wet. Her lips parted slightly, and Ethan could count every gold fleck in her irises. Ethan, her voice was a warning. I know, too soon, too complicated, way too complicated, but neither of them moved. I should go, he said. You just got here. I know, but if I stay, I'm going to kiss you, and that's probably a terrible idea. Probably. Her gaze dropped to his mouth. Definitely. Harper. She closed the distance, pressing her lips to his. It was soft, tentative, tasting of tears and coffee and something achingly familiar. Ethan's hand came up to cup her face, deepening the kiss, and she made a small sound that shot straight through him. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Harper's eyes were wide. That was a mistake, she finished quickly, standing up. That was a mistake. You just broke up with Victoria 3 weeks ago. We have Oliver to think about. We can't. We shouldn't. You're right. He stood too, even though everything in him wanted to pull her back. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. You didn't. I did. And it can't happen again. Agreed. But they were both terrible liars. A knock at the door made them jump apart. Harper smoothed her hair, wiped her face, and went to answer it. A woman stood in the hallway, mid-30s, blonde, expensive suit, and killer heels. She looked past Harper directly at Ethan. There you are. Victoria's smile was sharp as glass. We need to talk. Harper's expression shuddered. I'll go check on Oliver. She disappeared behind the partition, leaving Ethan and Victoria facing each other across the threshold. What are you doing here? Ethan's voice was low. I could ask you the same thing, but I already know. Victoria's eyes swept the apartment with barely concealed disdain. Playing house with your little family. How domestic. Victoria, don't. Don't what? Don't point out that you threw away 2 years for this? She gestured around. A cramped studio in Brooklyn with a woman who can barely keep her cafe afloat? Get out. No, not until you hear what I came to say. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. I made a mistake, calling off the engagement. I was angry and hurt, and I reacted poorly. Victoria, let me finish. I've had 3 weeks to think. 3 weeks to realize that what we have, is worth fighting for. So I'm here to fight. Her hand touched his chest. Come home, Ethan. Come back to your real life. You can still be a father. On weekends, holidays, whatever. But don't throw away everything for a fantasy. This isn't a fantasy. This is my son. And she's not your wife. She's not even your girlfriend anymore. She's just someone you used to know who happens to have your child. Victoria's voice hardened. Don't confuse obligation with love. From behind the partition, they could hear Harper singing softly to Oliver. The sound was achingly sweet. I'm not confused, Ethan said quietly. For the first time in a long time, I'm actually clear. Clear that you want to play daddy in a Brooklyn walk-up? Clear that you want to invest your fortune into a failing cafe? Clear that you want to resurrect a relationship that already crashed and burned once? Clear that I want to be where I'm needed, where I matter, where I'm not just a convenient status symbol. Victoria flinched. Is that what you think you were to me? Wasn't I? She stepped back, her composure cracking. I loved you, in my way. I know, and I cared about you, but it wasn't enough. We both know it. And she is? This woman who doesn't even want you here? I don't know. Maybe not. But at least with her, I feel alive. With you, I felt safe. And I'm done playing it safe. Victoria's jaw tightened. She pulled an envelope from her purse and thrust it at him. Then you'll be needing this, signed papers ending the engagement officially. My lawyer insists. Thank you. Don't thank me. This is me closing a door you already walked through. She turned to leave, then paused. She's going to break your heart again, you know? When you can't give her everything she wants. When reality sets in, and you're just the absent father with a checkbook. Maybe. But at least it'll be my choice this time. Victoria left without another word, her heels clicking down the stairs like punctuation marks. Ethan stood in the doorway, envelope in hand, feeling like he'd just stepped off a cliff without checking if there was water below. Harper emerged from behind the partition, Oliver on her hip. Her expression was carefully neutral. Everything okay? It is now. She wants you back. I know. Are you going? Ethan crossed the room, stopping in front of her. Do you want me to? It doesn't matter what I want. It's the only thing that matters. Harper's eyes filled with tears again. Don't do this. Don't make me the reason you blow up your life. You're not the reason. You're just the person I want to be better for. You and Oliver both. Ethan. Oliver reached for him. tiny hands grabbing his shirt. The gesture was so simple, so trusting, that Ethan felt something crack open in his chest. See? Harper's voice broke. He already knows you. Already trusts you. If you leave now, if you change your mind, I won't. You can't promise that. Watch me. He took Oliver from her arms, holding his son close, breathing in that sweet baby smell, and over his head, he met Harper's eyes. I'm not going anywhere, he said. Not unless you tell me to. She looked at him for a long, aching moment. Then she nodded once, quick and decisive. Okay, but Ethan, if you break his heart, if you break our hearts, there's no coming back from that. I know. Okay. They stood there, the three of them, in that tiny apartment that somehow felt bigger than his entire penthouse. And for the first time since that morning at the cafe, Ethan felt like he might actually be home. 2 months later, the cafe was thriving. Harper, Ethan still sometimes slipped and called her Lena in his head, had hired 2 full-time baristas and a part-time manager. The expanded space now included a small seating area in the back and a kids' corner, with books and toys where Oliver could play while his mother worked. Ethan showed up every day now, not just the scheduled times, sometimes to help with the morning rush, sometimes just to hold Oliver while Harper handled inventory. They'd fallen into an easy rhythm that felt natural but undefined. They hadn't kissed again since that day with Victoria, but the tension was always there, humming beneath every conversation, every accidental touch, every moment their eyes met across the cafe. It was Wednesday afternoon when Harper's phone rang. She was behind the counter, Oliver strapped to her chest in a baby carrier when her face went pale. Mom, her voice was thin. Slow down. What happened? Ethan looked up from where he was wiping down tables. Harper's hand trembled as she gripped the phone. Is he okay? Which hospital? A pause. I'm coming, I'll be there tonight, I just need to… Her voice cracked. I love you too. Tell Dad I'm coming. She hung up, staring at nothing. Harper? Ethan crossed to her. What's wrong? My dad. Heart attack. He's in surgery now. She fumbled with the carrier straps, her hands shaking too badly to manage them. I need to go. I need to book a flight to Seattle. I need to… Hey, breathe. Ethan's hands covered hers, steadying them. I've got you. Where do you need to be? Seattle. Swedish Medical Center. My mom sounds… God, Ethan, she sounded terrified. Okay. I'll arrange a flight. Private jet. We can leave in 2 hours. We? She looked at him, confused. You think I'm letting you fly across the country alone with a 7-month-old while your dad's in surgery? Not happening. Ethan, you can't just… You have your company, your meetings, none of which matter more than this. He was already pulling out his phone. Pack a bag for you and Oliver. I'll handle everything else. I can't ask you to… You're not asking, I'm telling you. His voice softened. Let me help, Harper. Please. She nodded, tears spilling over. Thank you. 4 hours later, they were in the air. Ethan had arranged everything, the jet, a car service waiting in Seattle, even a suite at a hotel near the hospital. Harper sat across from him, Oliver asleep in her arms, staring out the window at clouds painted gold by sunset. I haven't seen him in 8 months, she said quietly. Not since I told them I was pregnant. Ethan's chest tightened. They didn't take it well? My dad didn't. He's traditional, old-fashioned. When I told him I was having a baby alone, that the father wasn't in the picture, he said I was making a mistake. She kissed Oliver's head, said I should have waited, should have done things the right way. What's the right way? Marriage, stability, a father who actually wanted to be there. She laughed bitterly. Everything I didn't have. Did you tell them about me? I told them the father was unavailable, that we'd broken up before I knew I was pregnant. I didn't give them your name, didn't see the point. And now? Now they're going to meet you and have questions I don't know how to answer. She finally looked at him. What are we, Ethan? Really? Co-parents? Friends? Something else? I don't know. What do you want us to be? I don't know either. And that terrifies me. The plane hit turbulence, jolting them. Oliver stirred but didn't wake. Harper held him closer, and Ethan saw the exhaustion in every line of her face. Try to sleep, he said. I'll watch him. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see my dad's face the last time we spoke. He was so disappointed in me. You have nothing to be ashamed of, don't I? Single mother, struggling business owner, living in a tiny apartment because I was too proud to ask for help. Maybe he was right. Maybe I made everything harder than it needed to be. Or maybe you did something incredibly brave. Ethan moved to sit beside her. You chose to keep Oliver when it would have been easier not to. You built a business from nothing while pregnant and alone. You've given him a home full of love even when you had every reason to fall apart. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's something to be proud of. Harper's eyes filled. Why do you always know the right thing to say now? Because I learned what happens when I say the wrong things. She leaned against his shoulder, and he wrapped an arm around her, careful not to disturb Oliver. They stayed like that for the rest of the flight. Not quite lovers, not quite friends, just two people bound together by a child and a history too complicated to name. Swedish Medical Center was cold and sterile and smelled like disinfectant. Harper's mother was in the surgical waiting room, a small woman with Harper's eyes and worry worn deep in every crease of her face. When she saw them, she stood quickly. Harper. Her voice broke. Mom. They embraced. Oliver squished carefully between them. How is he? Still in surgery. They said it'll be another hour at least. Her gaze moved to Ethan. Questions forming. And you are? Ethan Caldwell. He extended his hand. I'm Oliver's father, Harper said quietly. Mom, this is Ethan. Ethan, my mother, Caroline. Caroline's expression cycled through surprise, confusion, and something harder. I see. The unavailable father who's suddenly available. Mom, please. Not now. When, then? When were you going to tell me that Oliver's father was in the picture? That he looks like... She gestured at Ethan's expensive suit, his watch, the way he carried himself. Like money. Mrs. Whitmore. Ethan began carefully. It's Mrs. Chen. I kept my maiden name. Her eyes narrowed. And don't Mrs. me like we're at a cocktail party. My daughter raised her son alone for 7 months. Where were you? Mom, stop. No, I want to know. Where were you when she was sick every morning? When she went into labor alone? When she was working 16-hour days trying to keep her business afloat with a newborn? I didn't know. Ethan's voice was steady despite the accusation in her eyes. Harper tried to tell me. I wasn't available, and I'll regret that for the rest of my life. Regret doesn't pay bills. Regret doesn't wake up for 3 a.m. feedings. You're right, it doesn't. But I'm here now and I'm not going anywhere. Caroline studied him for a long moment. Then she turned back to Harper. Is he good to you? To Oliver? Yes. Harper's voice was firm. He is. Then I suppose that's something. She reached for Oliver, who went to his grandmother willingly. Look at you, sweet boy. You've gotten so big. A surgeon appeared in scrubs and all other conversation stopped. Family of Richard Whitmore? That's us? Caroline's hand found Harper's. How is he? The surgery went well. We were able to remove the blockage and repair the damage. He's stable, but the next 48 hours are critical. Harper sagged with relief. Can I see him? He's in recovery now. Give it another hour, then you can visit. 2 at a time. After the surgeon left, Caroline sank into a chair, looking suddenly ancient. I almost lost him. We've been married 34 years and I almost lost him. Harper sat beside her, Oliver in her lap. But you didn't. He's tough. He's going to be fine. When he wakes up, he's going to ask about you, about the baby. Caroline's voice shook. I need to tell him that you're here, that you're okay, that we were wrong to judge you. You weren't wrong. It was hard. It is hard. But you managed. And you made something beautiful. She stroked Oliver's cheek. I should have been there. Should have helped instead of lecturing. You're here now. That's what matters. Ethan stood awkwardly to the side, watching this reunion, feeling like an intruder. Harper caught his eye and mouthed, "Thank you." He nodded and stepped out into the hallway to give them privacy. His phone buzzed. A text from his CFO. Board meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. Reynolds wants your signature on the merger documents. Where are you? Ethan stared at the message. The merger. He'd forgotten completely. 6 months of negotiations, millions of dollars at stake, and he'd forgotten. He typed back, in Seattle. Family emergency. Reschedule everything. Family? Since when do you have family in Seattle? Since now. He put the phone away and looked through the window at Harper with her mother and son. A tiny unit of 3 that had somehow become his entire world. When had that happened? When had this chaotic, messy, complicated situation become more important than quarterly reports and board meetings? He knew the answer. The moment he'd seen her behind that cafe counter with Oliver in her arms. The moment he'd realized that success without them felt like failure. Harper appeared in the doorway. Hey, my mom's going to sit with my dad. Want to grab coffee from the cafeteria? Sure. They walked in silence through sterile hallways, and it struck Ethan how far they'd come. 2 months ago, she could barely stand to be in the same room with him. Now he was meeting her parents in a hospital during a crisis. Thank you for coming. Harper said as they waited for the elevator. For arranging everything. For being here. Where else would I be? Running your company? Living your actual life? The elevator doors opened. They stepped inside, alone for the first time in hours. This is my actual life now, Ethan said quietly. You and Oliver. Everything else is just noise. Harper looked at him, really looked at him, and he saw something shift in her expression. Ethan. The elevator jolted to a stop. The lights flickered once, twice, then went out completely. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing them in dim red. Oh, this is perfect, Harper muttered. Ethan pressed the emergency call button. A tinny voice answered. This is security. We're aware of the outage. Backup generators are coming online. Sit tight, you'll be moving in 5 minutes. The speaker clicked off. 5 minutes. Alone in an elevator. With Harper looking at him like that. So, Harper said, this is awkward. Extremely. We should probably talk about what happened, the kiss. Probably. It can't happen again. Right. Because we're co-parents, and we need to keep things simple for Oliver. Agreed. And you just got out of a relationship. True. And I'm still figuring out who I am as a single mother. Makes sense. Harper stepped closer. So we definitely shouldn't kiss again. Definitely not. Even though I think about it constantly. Ethan's breath caught. Harper, even though every time you smile at Oliver or help me close the cafe or show up exactly when I need you, I remember why I fell in love with you in the first place. You're killing me. Good. Because you're killing me too. She reached up, her hand touching his face. Coming here, meeting my parents, being exactly who I needed you to be. Do you know what that does to me? Tell me. It makes me want to forget all the reasons this is a bad idea. Makes me want to just leap. Then leap. I can't. If this goes wrong, if we try and fail again, Oliver pays the price. I can't risk that. What if it doesn't fail? What if we get it right this time? We won't. People don't change, Ethan. Not really. I did. You did too. We're not the same people who broke up a year ago. No, we're more complicated now. Complicated isn't bad. Complicated is real. The elevator lurched, starting to move. The moment shattered. They stepped apart as the doors opened on the cafeteria level. But as they walked to get coffee, their hands brushed, and neither pulled away. Later, when Harper sat by her father's bedside holding his hand while he slept, Ethan stood in the doorway with Oliver in his arms and thought about choices. He'd spent his entire adult life choosing safety over risk, control over chaos, certainty over possibility, and it had left him empty. Harper turned, saw them watching, and smiled, tired and real and beautiful, and Ethan realized he'd already made his choice. He'd made it the moment he walked back into that cafe. Everything else was just figuring out how to make her believe it. They stayed in Seattle for 5 days. Harper's father, Richard, recovered slowly but steadily. When he finally woke up fully coherent on day 3, his first question was about Oliver. His second was about the man in expensive clothes standing guard outside his daughter's hospital room. So you're him, Richard said when Ethan finally entered. The older man looked fragile against the white sheets, tubes, and monitors surrounding him, but his eyes were sharp. The father who wasn't available. Dad, please. Harper stood from her chair beside the bed. Not now. If not now, when? I almost died, Harper. I think I've earned the right to speak my mind. Ethan stepped forward. You have, sir, and you have every right to hate me. I wasn't there when Harper needed me. I missed the first 7 months of my son's life. There's no excuse for that. Damn right there isn't. Richard. Caroline's voice held a warning. No. Let him finish. Richard's gaze never left Ethan. You weren't there, but you're here now. Why? Because I love her. The words came out before Ethan could stop them. Because I've loved her since the day I met her, and I was too afraid to let myself need her the way she needed me. Because I have a son who deserves a father who shows up. And because walking away from them once was the biggest mistake of my life, I won't make it twice. The room fell silent. Harper stared at him, her face pale. Harper? Richard's voice softened. Is that true? Do you love him? Dad, She looked between them. Trapped. It's complicated. Love usually is. Richard reached for her hand. When your mother and I got married, my family said we wouldn't last 6 months. She was too young. I was too poor. We fought like cats and dogs. 34 years later, she's still the only person I want to see when I wake up in the morning. This is different. How? Because we already tried and failed. Because we have Oliver to think about. Because, her voice cracked, Because I'm terrified of needing him and having him disappear again. Ethan's heart shattered. Harper, look at me. Richard's grip tightened on her hand. Life is short. I know that better than anyone right now. Don't waste time protecting yourself from something that might not happen. Take the risk. Love him or don't, but decide based on how you feel, not on fear. Caroline moved to Harper's other side. Your father's right, for once. A small smile. We were wrong to judge you. Wrong to make you feel like you had to do everything alone. If Ethan's here, if he's trying, give him a chance. Give yourself a chance. Harper's eyes filled with tears. What if we hurt each other again? Then you hurt, Richard said simply. But at least you lived. At least you tried. That night, Ethan and Harper walked through Seattle's Pike Place Market as the sun set over the water. Oliver was with Caroline at the hotel, giving them a rare moment alone. Harper hadn't spoken since they left the hospital, just walked beside him, hands shoved in her jacket pockets, watching street performers and tourists with distant eyes. You didn't have to say that, she finally said. To my father, about loving me. I know. Was it true? Ethan stopped walking. Around them the market bustled with life, vendors calling out, musicians playing, the smell of fresh fish and flowers mixing in the salt air. But all he saw was her. Every word. Don't. She stepped back. Don't make this about grand declarations in hospital rooms. Don't make me the reason you're having some kind of life crisis. This isn't a crisis. It's clarity. It's been 2 months, Ethan. 2 months since you even knew Oliver existed. 2 months since we've been in the same room for more than a few hours. You can't possibly. I loved you before. He closed the distance between them. When we were together. I loved you so much it terrified me. And when you left, when I realized I'd pushed away the best thing in my life, I fell apart. 6 months of depression wasn't me being dramatic. It was me realizing I'd lost something irreplaceable. Then why didn't you fight for me? Why did you let me walk away? Because I thought I was protecting myself. Thought if I didn't need anyone too much, I couldn't be destroyed when they left. But guess what? You left anyway. And I was destroyed anyway. So what was the point? Harper's hands trembled as she wrapped her arms around herself. The point is that we're different people now. We want different things. Do we? Because from where I'm standing, we want the same thing. A life where Oliver is happy and safe, where you don't have to work yourself to death, where I get to be the father I should have been from the start. And us? What do you want from us? Everything. His voice was raw. I want mornings where I wake up next to you. I want to fight about whose turn it is to change diapers. I want to build something real together. Not perfect, not easy, but real. I want all the complicated, messy, terrifying parts of loving someone enough to let them see you completely. I can't. Her voice broke. I can't risk it. Not when Oliver's involved. Not when one wrong move could destroy the stability I've built for him. What stability? You're exhausted, Harper. Running on fumes. Trying to be both parents, both provider and caretaker. Let me help carry that. Help as a co-parent or help as what? A boyfriend? A partner? What are you asking for? I'm asking for a chance. A real one. To be in your life not just as Oliver's father but as the man who loves you. Who wants to wake up with you. Fight with you. Build a life with you. And when it falls apart again? When we realize we still want different things? Then we figure it out. Together. Like adults. Like partners. He caught her face gently. I'm not asking for promises we can't keep. I'm asking for one day at a time. One choice at a time. Starting with right now, do you want me to leave? No. Do you want me to stay? Yes. God help me. Yes. Then that's where we start. Harper kissed him. Desperate and hungry and full of everything they'd been holding back for months. Ethan pulled her closer, one hand tangling in her hair, the other pressed against the small of her back. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Harper laughed shakily. This is insane. Completely. We're going to mess this up. Probably. Oliver's going to pay the price if we won't. I won't let that happen. He rested his forehead against hers. I'm all in, Harper. Completely. Terrifyingly. All in. I don't know how to do this. How to trust this. Neither do I. So we learned together. They stood there as the market closed around them. Two people who'd already broken each other once, choosing to risk it all over again. The text came at 2 a.m. Ethan was in his hotel room when his phone lit up. Not Harper. His assistant. Urgent. Board voted to remove you as CEO. Effective immediately. Reynolds called emergency meeting. They're citing abandonment of duties. Call me. He stared at the message, feeling nothing. The company he'd built from nothing, gone in a single vote. Years of work dismantled because he'd chosen to be in Seattle instead of New York. A knock at his door. Harper stood in the hallway in pajamas, Oliver asleep on her shoulder. He won't settle. I think he's looking for you. She paused, seeing his face. What's wrong? I just lost my company. What? He showed her the phone. She read it, her expression shifting from confusion to horror. Ethan, oh my God, you have to go back. You have to fight this. No. What do you mean, no? This is your life's work. It was, but it's not anymore. He reached for Oliver, taking his son carefully. The baby immediately snuggled into his chest, settling. This is my life now, you two. Don't be stupid. You can't just... You built that company. It's worth hundreds of millions. And it means nothing if I'm not here for this. He looked down at Oliver's sleeping face. For him. For you. Ethan, you'll regret this. You'll resent us for it. I won't. I regret a lot of things, Harper. But being here with you, choosing you over a boardroom, that's not something I'll ever regret. Harper's eyes filled with tears. You're insane. Maybe. But I'm done living a life that looks good on paper but feels empty. I'm done choosing the safe option. I'm done being who everyone expects me to be instead of who I want to be. And who do you want to be? A good father. A good partner. Just yours. If you'll have me. She crossed to him, careful not to wake Oliver, and kissed him softly. You beautiful, idiotic, wonderful man. Is that a yes? It's a, let's figure this out together. She pulled back, searching his face. But Ethan, you fight for that company. You don't let them take it without a battle. Not for us, not for anyone. You fight because it matters to you. It doesn't matter more than you. Then prove you can have both. Prove that choosing us doesn't mean losing yourself. Her voice was fierce now. I don't want to be the reason you give up everything. I want to be the reason you fight for everything. Something shifted in his chest. She was right. Running from his company wasn't the answer. Finding a way to balance both worlds was. Okay. He kissed her forehead. Okay. I'll fight. Good. Because Oliver deserves a father who doesn't quit when things get hard. And she hesitated. I deserve a partner who knows his own worth. I love you. He said it again, needing her to hear it. I love you so much it scares me. I love you too. The admission seemed to surprise her. I've been trying not to, trying to protect myself, but I do. I love you, Ethan Caldwell, even though you're infuriating and dramatic and you turned my entire life upside down. In my defense, you turned mine upside down first. Fair point. Oliver stirred between them, making sleepy baby sounds. They both looked down at him. This perfect, impossible thing they'd created, and something clicked into place. We're really doing this, Harper whispered. Trying again. We're doing this. It's going to be hard. Everything worth having is. She leaned against him, the three of them standing in the hotel room doorway, and Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in over a year. Hope, real, terrifying, beautiful hope that maybe, just maybe, second chances were real, that love could survive mistakes, that broken things could be made whole again, if you were willing to fight for them. The flight back to New York was turbulent. Harper sat across from him, Oliver in her lap, both of them coming with him because she refused to let him face the board alone. You need someone in your corner, she'd said. Someone who isn't afraid to tell them they're idiots. You're going to attend my board meeting? No, but I'm going to be in that building with your son reminding you what you're fighting for. As Manhattan came into view through the window, Ethan felt the familiar tightness in his chest. The city that had defined him for so long suddenly felt different, because this time he wasn't coming back alone. This time, he had something, someone, worth fighting for, and he wasn't going to lose it again. Not to a board, not to fear, not to anything. His phone buzzed. A text from Reynolds, the board member who'd led the coup. Smart move coming back. Let's talk before the meeting. We can make this clean. Ethan deleted the message and typed a new one to his lawyer. I need you to draft a counter-proposal. I'm buying out the board. Every single one of them. Harper looked up. What are you doing? Something I should have done years ago. He met her eyes. Taking control of my own life. She smiled. That real, beautiful smile that made everything worth it. That's my man. And for the first time in his life, Ethan believed it. He was hers. Completely. And that was exactly where he wanted to be. The boardroom felt like a battlefield. Ethan sat at the head of the table, his lawyer beside him, facing 12 men and women who'd helped him build his empire, and who now wanted to take it away. Reynolds sat opposite him, smug and confident in a way that made Ethan's jaw tighten. "Glad you could make it, Caldwell." Reynolds leaned back in his leather chair. "Though I'm surprised you bothered. The vote was unanimous." "Was it?" Ethan placed a folder on the table. "Because I've spent the last 3 days reviewing every board member's contract. Interesting reading. What's your point?" "My point is that half of you violated your fiduciary duties. Insider trading, conflicts of interest, unauthorized expenses." He slid the folder across. "My lawyer has documentation on everything." The room erupted, voices overlapping, accusations flying. Reynolds' smug expression cracked. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" "Check page 17. That's you, Reynolds, using company funds to invest in your brother-in-law's startup, a startup that directly competes with our subsidiary." Ethan's voice was cold. "That's fraud. You son of a—" "I'm offering you a choice." Ethan stood. "Resign quietly with your reputations intact, or I take this to the SEC and you face federal charges. You have 24 hours to decide." He walked out without waiting for a response, leaving chaos in his wake. In the lobby, Harper waited with Oliver in a stroller. She looked up when he emerged, searching his face. "Well, I think I just declared war on my entire board." "Good." She stood, reaching for his hand. "Sometimes war is necessary." They walked out of the building together into the bright Manhattan afternoon. Ethan felt lighter than he had in months, maybe years. "Where to now?" Harper asked. "Home." He looked down at Oliver, who was chewing on a stuffed elephant. "Our home." "We don't have an our home. I have my apartment, you have your penthouse." "Then let's fix that." He stopped walking, turning to face her. "Move in with me. Both of you." "Ethan, I know it's fast. I know we're still figuring this out, but I'm tired of dividing my life into compartments. I want to wake up with you. I want Oliver's crib in my bedroom. I want all the chaos and mess and reality of being a family. Your penthouse is all white furniture and marble. Oliver would destroy it in a week. Perfect. It could use some destruction." He cupped her face. "I'm serious, Harper. Move in. Let's do this right." She stared at him for a long moment, emotions flickering across her face. Hope, fear, longing, doubt. "One condition. Anything. We get a real home. Not a penthouse showcase. Somewhere with a yard, room for Oliver to run around. Neighbors who have actual lives." Her voice softened. "Somewhere that feels like a home, not a magazine spread." Ethan's heart swelled. "Deal. And you hire a decorator who isn't afraid of color." "Done. And we get a dog." "A dog? Every kid needs a dog. He's 8 months old. Then we'll grow into it." She smiled. "So? Do we have a deal?" Instead of answering, he kissed her. Right there on Fifth Avenue, with Oliver between them and the entire city rushing past. When they broke apart, Harper was crying. "Happy tears?" he asked. "Terrified tears, but also happy." She laughed. "I'm moving in with you. We're doing this. This is insane." "Completely. I love you." "I love you too." Oliver chose that moment to throw his elephant, hitting Ethan square in the face. They both laughed, and for a moment, everything was perfect. The perfection lasted exactly 3 hours. They were at Ethan's penthouse. Harper had agreed to stay there temporarily while they house hunted, when his phone rang. Unknown number. "Mr. Caldwell?" A woman's voice, professional and cold. "This is Jennifer Martinez from the New York Family Court." His blood ran ice. "Yes? We received a petition this afternoon regarding custody of Oliver Harper Whitmore. You're listed as the father?" "I am." "What petition?" "A Ms. Victoria Ashford has filed for emergency custody, claiming the child is in an unsafe environment. There's a hearing scheduled for tomorrow at 10 a.m. You and Ms. Whitmore are required to attend." The phone nearly slipped from his hand. "What?" "The petition claims substance abuse, neglect, and an unstable living situation. A social worker will be conducting a home visit this evening to assess." "This is bullshit. Victoria has nothing to do with Oliver. She has no legal standing." "Sir, I'm just informing you of the hearing. You'll have a chance to respond tomorrow. I suggest you bring a lawyer." She hung up. Ethan stood frozen, the phone still in his hand. "Ethan?" Harper emerged from the bathroom where she'd been giving Oliver a bath. "Who was that?" He couldn't speak, couldn't form words around the rage choking him. "Ethan, you're scaring me. What happened?" "Victoria." His voice was barely human. "She filed for custody of Oliver." The color drained from Harper's face. She what? Emergency custody, claims unsafe environment. There's a hearing tomorrow and a social worker coming tonight. She has no right. She's doing it to hurt me, to hurt us. He was pacing now, fury and fear warring inside him. She knows she can't win, but she can drag us through hell trying. Harper sank onto the couch, Oliver in her arms. What do? We fight. We get a lawyer. We document everything. We show them she's lying. What if they believe her? What if they take him? Her voice broke. Ethan, what if they take our son? The words hit him like a physical blow. Our son. Not hers. Not his. Ours. They won't. I won't let them. He knelt in front of her. I promise you, Harper, I will burn down the entire legal system before I let anyone take him from us. A knock at the door. They both jumped. That'll be the social worker. Ethan stood, straightening his shirt. Let me handle this. The woman at the door was in her 50s, carrying a clipboard and wearing an expression of professional neutrality. Mr. Caldwell? I'm Sandra Willis from Child Protective Services. I'm here to conduct the home assessment. Of course, please come in. For the next hour, Sandra inspected everything. The apartment, the makeshift nursery they'd set up in Ethan's bedroom, the food in the fridge, the safety measures, the cleanliness. She asked questions about their relationship, their finances, their support system. Harper answered with quiet dignity, never breaking, never showing how terrified she was. Oliver, oblivious to the stakes, charmed Sandra completely, smiling, babbling, showing off his new trick of clapping his hands. Finally, Sandra closed her notebook. I'll be honest with you. This doesn't look like neglect to me. The child appears healthy, happy, well cared for. Your home is clean and safe. Your relationship seems stable. Relief flooded through Ethan. So you'll recommend dismissal? I'll recommend further investigation. Her expression softened slightly. But between you and me, this feels personal, not protective. Someone's using the system to hurt you. The judge will see that. After she left, Harper collapsed against Ethan, shaking. It's going to be okay, he murmured into her hair. We're going to be okay. What if Victoria has something else? Some other lie? What if, then we handle it? Together. He pulled back to look at her. She's desperate, Harper. People who are winning don't pull stunts like this. She's lashing out because she lost, and she knows it. She could still win. The system isn't always fair. Then we make it fair. His voice hardened. I have resources. Lawyers. Money. Influence. Whatever it takes. I don't want to win because you bought justice. And I don't want to lose because Victoria weaponized the court system. He caught her face. This isn't about pride or principle. This is about protecting our son. I'll use every advantage I have. Harper nodded slowly. Okay. What do we do now? Now we call the best family lawyer in New York. And then we put Oliver to bed and try to sleep. I won't be able to sleep. Neither will I. But we'll try anyway. The courtroom was cold and institutional. Ethan sat beside Harper at the defendant's table, their lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia Brooks, between them. Across the aisle, Victoria sat with her own attorney, her expression carefully composed. When their eyes met, she didn't look away, just stared at him with something like pity. All rise for the Honorable Judge Martinez. The judge was a woman in her 60s with steel gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. She reviewed the petition in silence, then looked up. Ms. Ashford, you're petitioning for emergency custody of a child who isn't yours, claiming his current guardians are unfit. That's a serious allegation. Victoria's lawyer stood. Your Honor, my client has evidence that Mr. Caldwell has abandoned his company, is involved in a volatile relationship, and is providing an unstable environment. Volatile how? Judge Martinez cut him off. The relationship between Mr. Caldwell and Ms. Whitmore ended badly over a year ago. They only recently reconciled. My client believes the child is being used as a pawn in their rekindled romance. Your client believes. The judge's tone was dry. What evidence supports this belief? Mr. Caldwell recently lost his position as CEO after abandoning his duties. He's facing financial instability. He chose to restructure his company. Patricia stood. Mr. Caldwell wasn't fired. He's in the process of buying out his board members. His net worth is in excess of $500 million. There's no financial instability. Your Honor, the point is you're wasting my time. Judge Martinez set down the petition. Ms. Ashford, why are you really here? Victoria stood, her composure finally cracking. Because he chose them over me. Because after 2 years together, he threw away our entire future for a woman who couldn't even tell him she was pregnant. Because I deserve better than being discarded like, "This isn't about what you deserve, Ms. Ashford. This is supposed to be about the welfare of a child." The judge's voice was sharp. "A child who, according to the CPS report I received last night, is thriving in his current environment. Your Honor, I've heard enough. The petition for emergency custody is denied. Furthermore, I'm ordering Ms. Ashford to pay court costs and referring her attorney to the Bar Association for filing a frivolous claim." She looked at Victoria. "If you come into my courtroom again using a child as a weapon in your personal vendetta, I will hold you in contempt. Do you understand?" Victoria's face flushed red. "Yes, Your Honor." "Good. This case is dismissed." The gavel came down. It was over. Just like that, Harper grabbed Ethan's hand, squeezing so hard it hurt. He squeezed back, unable to speak around the relief choking him. As they left the courtroom, Victoria caught up to them in the hallway. "Congratulations," she said, her voice brittle. "You got what you wanted." "Victoria," Ethan started. "No, let me say this." She looked between them. "I loved you, Ethan. Maybe not the way she does, not with the kind of passion that makes people stupid, but I loved you in my way, and I thought that would be enough. I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I never meant to hurt you." "Yes, you did. Maybe not consciously, but you did. Because you were never really mine. You were always hers. Even when she was gone, even when you were with me, you were waiting for her to come back." She turned to Harper. "Take care of him. And that baby. Because if you break his heart again, there won't be anyone left to pick up the pieces." Then she walked away, heels clicking against marble, and Ethan knew he'd never see her again. Harper leaned against him. "I feel sorry for her." "So do I. But not sorry enough to... not even close." He pulled her closer. "You're it for me, Harper. The only one. The always one. Good. Because I'm not going anywhere." They left the courthouse hand in hand, Oliver asleep in his stroller, and walked into their future. A future that was messy and complicated and absolutely nothing like what Ethan had planned. But it was theirs. And that made it perfect. That night, Ethan got a text from Reynolds. "The board accepted your offer. The company is yours. Congratulations, you ruthless bastard." He showed Harper. She smiled. "See? You can have both. I never doubted it. Liar." "Okay. I doubted it a little." He pulled her into his lap, careful not to wake Oliver sleeping nearby. "But I'm starting to believe that maybe I can have everything. The company, you, our son, a life that doesn't feel like a carefully constructed prison. It's going to be hard work, balancing it all. Everything worth having is hard work. You keep saying that. Because it's true." He kissed her softly. "And you're worth it. This, us, is worth every second of hard work. I love you, Ethan Caldwell." "I love you, Harper Whitmore." Soon to be Harper Caldwell? His heart stopped. Are you asking?" "Not yet, but maybe someday." She smiled against his lips. "When we're ready, when it's right, when Oliver is old enough to be the ring bearer, I'll wait as long as you need." "Good, because I'm still terrified of this, of us, of how much I need you." "Me too, but I think being terrified together is better than being safe alone. Definitely better." They sat in the quiet of his penthouse, soon to be their temporary home until they found something real. And Ethan marveled at how much could change in 3 months. 3 months ago, he'd walked into a cafe and seen his past working behind the counter. Now he was holding his future in his arms, and he wasn't letting go. Not ever again. 6 months later, the house in Westchester was everything the penthouse wasn't. Warm, lived in, filled with the beautiful chaos of family life. Hardwood floors showed scuff marks from Oliver's new obsession with crawling at top speed. Toys scattered across the living room despite Harper's attempts at organization. The walls displayed photos, not professionally staged, but real moments captured in time. Oliver's first birthday, Harper laughing in the cafe, Ethan asleep on the couch with his son on his chest. A golden retriever puppy named Winston, Harper had won that argument, currently chewed on one of Ethan's Italian leather shoes. "Your dog destroyed another pair," Ethan called from the kitchen where he was attempting to make pancakes. "Badly. Our dog," Harper corrected, coming down the stairs with Oliver on her hip. The baby was 14 months old now, standing with support and saying approximately 3 words. "Dada, Mama, and dog." "Dog," Oliver squealed, pointing at Winston. "Yes, baby, the dog who eats expensive shoes." Harper kissed his head, then looked at the kitchen. Please tell me you're not burning breakfast again. I'm not burning breakfast. Smoke rose from the pan. Liar. Ethan grinned, flipping a charcoal black pancake. Okay, I'm totally burning breakfast, but I'm doing it with love. Harper moved beside him, taking over the pan. You run a multi-million-dollar company but can't make pancakes? I have many talents. Cooking isn't one of them. Good thing I fell in love with you for other reasons. Like my rugged good looks. Like your ability to change diapers without gagging. She smiled. And maybe the good looks, too. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, careful not to disturb Oliver. Have I mentioned lately that I love you? Not in the last hour. I was starting to worry. I love you. Madly. Completely. Even when you mock my cooking. Especially when I mock your cooking. Oliver grabbed a fistful of Ethan's hair, yanking hard. Dada. Yes, I'm Dada. And you're a tiny menace. He kissed his son's chubby hand. But you're my tiny menace. This was life now. Domestic and messy, and absolutely nothing like the carefully controlled existence Ethan had lived before, and he wouldn't trade a single second of it. His phone buzzed. He ignored it. You can check that, Harper said. It can wait. I'm having breakfast with my family. You're very important, probably time-sensitive, definitely work-related. Can wait. He took the phone and silenced it completely. Today is about us, no work, no distractions. Harper turned to look at him, pancake turner in hand. What's today? You don't remember? Should I? Ethan set Oliver in his high chair, handing him a soft toy to occupy his hands. Then he pulled a small box from his pocket. Harper froze. Ethan, 1 year ago today I walked into a cafe and saw you behind the counter with Oliver in your arms. 1 year ago, my entire life changed in a single moment. He opened the box, revealing a ring. Simple, elegant, a single diamond that caught the morning light. I know we said we'd wait, but I don't want to wait anymore. I want to be your husband. I want Oliver to have my last name and yours. I want everything, Harper. With you. Always. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You're supposed to do this at dinner. Somewhere romantic. We're in our kitchen. You're wearing my old college sweatshirt. I'm wearing pajama pants. Oliver just threw banana in your hair. He smiled. This is romantic. This is us. This is insane. So that's a no? That's a yes, you idiot. She launched herself at him, nearly knocking them both over. Yes. 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, then kissed her like they had all the time in the world. Oliver banged his toy against the high chair tray, providing percussion. When they broke apart, both laughing and crying, Harper held up her hand, watching the ring catch the light. Mrs. Harper Caldwell. Has a nice ring to it. Terrible pun. You love my terrible puns. I love you. She cupped his face. I love you so much it still scares me sometimes, but it's a good scared. A jumping off a cliff knowing you'll catch me scared. I'll always catch you. Promise? Promise. Oliver threw his toy, hitting Ethan in the head. They both laughed. Our son has your aim, Ethan said. And your timing. Harper retrieved the toy, always interrupting the romantic moments. He learned from the best. They spent the morning as a family. No work calls, no emails. Just the three of them, soon to be officially, legally, permanently bound together. That afternoon they drove to the cafe. It had expanded again. Harper now owned the entire corner building, with a larger seating area, a small bookshop section, and a play area for kids. It was thriving, packed every day with neighborhood regulars and word-of-mouth tourists. I can't believe this is mine, Harper said, staring up at the sign. 1 year ago I was barely keeping the doors open. Now look at it. You did this. Not me. You. We did this. Your investment saved it, Ethan. Don't pretend otherwise. My money helped. Your vision, your hard work, your talent, that's what made it succeed. He squeezed her hand. I'm just the guy who writes checks. You're the one who built something real. Inside, her staff greeted them warmly. They knew about the proposal. Ethan had planned ahead, arranging for them to take photos, to be part of the celebration. Congratulations, boss. Maria, the head barista, pulled Harper into a hug. Let me see the ring. Harper showed it off, blushing and glowing, while Ethan held Oliver and watched the woman he loved be celebrated. You did good, Maria said to him later while Harper was showing off photos to customers. Making her happy like this, she deserves it. She deserves everything. She does. And if you ever hurt her again, you'll kill me. I know. I've gotten that speech from at least a dozen people. Good. Just making sure we're clear. Maria smiled. But honestly, the way you look at her, the way you look at that baby, I think she's safe. She's more than safe. She's everything. That evening, they called Harper's parents via video chat. Caroline appeared on screen first, Richard beside her. He'd recovered fully from the heart attack, though he was slower now, more careful, more appreciative of time. "Mom, Dad, we have news." Harper held up her hand. Caroline gasped. Oh my God, Richard, look. I can see it." Richard's stern face cracked into a rare smile. "About time, Caldwell. I was starting to think you'd never ask. I wanted to make sure I could do it right this time, sir." "And did you?" "I think so." Harper said yes. "Then you did it right." Richard's voice softened. "Take care of my daughter. And my grandson. Every day, sir. I promise." "Good man." After they hung up, Harper leaned against Ethan. "He approves. That's huge." "I know. He never approved of anyone I dated. Not once, but you. I proved I could change. That I could show up. That I could be the man you deserve." He turned her to face him. "And I'll spend every day for the rest of our lives proving it again. You don't have to prove anything anymore." "Yes, I do. Love isn't something you prove once. It's something you prove every single day through actions, choices, showing up." Harper's eyes filled. "When did you get so wise?" "When I lost you and learned what actually matters." They put Oliver to bed together. Their nightly routine, bath time, story time, songs until his eyes drooped closed. Ethan stood in the nursery doorway, watching Harper rock their son, and felt his chest expand with something too big for words. Gratitude, love, peace. All the things he'd spent years chasing in boardrooms and penthouses, he'd found right here, in this house, with this woman, with this child. "What are you thinking about?" Harper asked, noticing him watching. "How lucky I am. Luck had nothing to do with it. You chose this. You fought for this. We both did." She laid Oliver in his crib, covering him with his favorite blanket. They stood together in the doorway, watching him sleep. "Can I tell you something?" Harper whispered. "Something I've been too scared to say?" "Anything. When you walked into that cafe a year ago, I hated you. For disappearing. For not being there. For making me do everything alone." She leaned into him. "But there was this tiny, stupid part of me that was also relieved. Because you were there. Because despite everything, seeing you again felt like coming home." "Harper, let me finish. I spent 7 months convincing myself I didn't need you. That Oliver and I were fine alone. That love was a luxury I couldn't afford." Her voice cracked. "But I was lying. I needed you. I never stopped needing you. And when you showed up, when you kept showing up, God, Ethan, you saved me. You saved yourself. You built this life before I got here. But you made it better. You made everything better." She turned to face him. "I love you. Not just because you're Oliver's father or because you helped my business or because you're good in a crisis. I love you because you see me. The real me. The messy, stubborn, terrified me. And you love me anyway." Ethan pulled her close, burying his face in her hair. "You're not terrified. I am. Every day. Terrified I'll wake up and this will be a dream. Terrified you'll realize you made a mistake. Terrified that—" He kissed her quiet, soft and deep and full of everything words couldn't hold. "Not a dream," he murmured against her lips. "Not a mistake. This is real. We're real. And I'm never leaving. Never. Promise?" "I already did. In that cafe. In Seattle. In the courthouse. Every single day for the past year. I've been promising you." He took her hand, the one wearing his ring. "And tomorrow I'll promise again. And the day after that. For the rest of our lives." Harper kissed him again, harder this time, and he tasted salt from her tears. "I'm so happy," she whispered. "And it terrifies me." "Then be terrified. Be happy. Be both." He smiled. "That's what being alive feels like." "When did you become a philosopher?" "When I became a father, and a partner, and a man who finally understands what matters." They stood in the nursery doorway, holding each other while their son slept. And Ethan thought about second chances. How rare they were. How precious. How easily they could be wasted. A year ago he'd walked into a cafe and seen his past. Now he was holding his future, and he'd never take a single second of it for granted. Not the sleepless nights or the burnt pancakes or the destroyed Italian shoes. Not the fights or the fears or the moments of doubt. Because all of it, every messy, complicated, beautiful second, was worth it. For this, for them, for love, real love, Imperfect love, the kind that survives mistakes and grows stronger for them. Come on, Harper said, pulling him toward their bedroom. I want to celebrate our engagement properly. Oh, and how do we do that? I'm thinking champagne, movie, falling asleep in your arms. That's your idea of proper celebration? Yes, because anything fancier and I'll fall asleep in the appetizer course. He laughed. You know what? That sounds perfect. Yeah, because it was. Not perfect like a magazine spread or a romance novel. Perfect like real life. Perfect like two imperfect people choosing each other every single day. Perfect like home. And Ethan was finally, completely, undeniably home. 3 years later, the backyard was decorated with balloons and streamers. A banner reading, "Happy 4th birthday, Oliver," stretched between 2 oak trees. Children ran wild across the grass, their laughter mixing with music from the outdoor speakers. Winston, now fully grown, played gentle guardian to the chaos, letting toddlers climb on him with patient dignity. Harper stood on the porch, one hand resting on her swollen belly, watching the scene with that soft smile Ethan had learned meant she was overwhelmingly happy. You're supposed to be sitting, he said, coming up behind her with a glass of lemonade. I'm pregnant, not broken. But she took the glass gratefully. Besides, someone needs to make sure the cake doesn't get destroyed before we sing. I assigned Maria to cake duty. It's under control. You assigned my head barista to guard a birthday cake? She's very intimidating. The kids are terrified of her. Harper laughed. You're ridiculous. You married me anyway. Clearly a momentary lapse in judgment. She leaned back against him, and his arms came around her, careful of her belly. 7 months pregnant with their daughter, they'd decided to name her Elena after Harper's grandmother. How are you feeling? He asked. Huge, tired, happy. She turned her head to look at him. Scared. Of? The same thing I'm always scared of. That I'll wake up and this will all be gone. That it's too good to be real. It's real. He kissed her temple. 4 years of real. Marriage, business, family, all of it real. I know, but sometimes I still can't believe it. She gestured to the yard. My parents playing with Oliver. Your business partner, who you swore was insufferable, pushing kids on the swing. Our cafe staff mixing with your corporate friends. It's like 2 different worlds collided. Best collision I ever had. Oliver ran up to the porch, his dark hair wild, his face covered in what looked like frosting. Mama! Dada! Come play! Did you get into the cake? Harper asked, trying to sound stern. No. The most obvious lie from the world's cutest liar. Ethan crouched down. Buddy, we can see the frosting on your face. It fell off, into my mouth. Accident. Harper covered her laugh with a cough. An accident, of course. It happens to the best of us, Ethan said seriously. But no more accidents until after we sing, okay? Okay, Dada. Oliver hugged his leg. Love you. Love you too, troublemaker. The boy ran off to rejoin the chaos, and Ethan stood, finding Harper crying. Happy tears or hormones? He asked gently. Both. Everything makes me cry lately. She wiped her face. But also just, look at him, Ethan. 4 years old. He's not a baby anymore. No, he's a full-blown person with opinions and schemes and a concerning talent for finding trouble. He gets that from you. He absolutely gets that from you. They stood together, watching their son play with his friends, children from the neighborhood, from the cafe, from the preschool where he'd just started. A full life, a real life. Do you ever think about that day? Harper asked quietly. The cafe, when you first saw us. Every day. Really? Every single day. He turned her to face him. I think about how close I came to walking away, to pretending I didn't see you, to choosing the easy path instead of the right one. What stopped you? Oliver. The way you held him. The way you looked. Exhausted but determined. Struggling but not giving up. I saw you and thought, that's strength. That's what I lost when I let her go. Harper's eyes filled again. Stop making me cry at our son's birthday party. Can't help it. You asked. Mama, Dada, Oliver called from across the yard. Cake time. They gathered everyone around the picnic table where Maria had indeed successfully guarded the cake. A massive creation shaped like a dinosaur. Oliver's current obsession. 4 candles flickered on top. As they sang happy birthday, Ethan looked around at the assembled group. Harper's parents still going strong. His old business partner, now a close friend. The cafe staff who'd become extended family. Neighbors they'd met through Oliver's preschool. Maria's kids playing with Oliver, a community, a life built not on money or status, but on genuine connection. Oliver blew out the candles with excessive enthusiasm, spit flying everywhere. Everyone cheered anyway. "What did you wish for, buddy?" Ethan asked. "Can't tell, or it won't come true." Oliver's serious face, so much like Ethan's own, was absolutely certain about this rule. Fair enough. Later, after cake and presents and the controlled chaos of small children hopped up on sugar, after the guests had left, and Oliver had crashed hard in his bed still wearing his party hat, Ethan and Harper sat on the porch swing in the quiet evening. "Successful party?" he asked. "Very. Though I think we'll be finding confetti in weird places for months. Worth it to see him that happy. Definitely worth it." She rested her head on his shoulder. "Thank you. For what? For this. All of it. For not giving up on us when it would have been easier. For choosing this messy, complicated, beautiful life. Harper, you don't have to thank me for choosing the best thing that ever happened to me. Still, I want you to know I see it. See you. Everything you do every day. Taking Oliver to preschool, helping at the cafe, running your company, building this life with me. I see it and I'm grateful. You do the same thing. More, actually. You're growing a whole human while managing a business and raising a 4-year-old. Team effort. Best team I've ever been on." They sat in comfortable silence, the swing creaking gently, the night settling around them. Inside, through the window, they could see Oliver's nightlight glowing in his room. Soon there would be another nightlight, another crib, another tiny human to love and protect and occasionally wonder how they survived. "Are you scared?" Harper asked. "About Elena? Terrified? You?" "Terrified, but also excited. Oliver won't be an only child. He'll have someone to blame things on. The poor girl doesn't stand a chance. He's already plotting. He asked if she could share his dinosaurs. I think he'll be a good big brother. He'll be amazing. Because he learned from you. From us." She corrected. "He learned from us." Ethan's phone buzzed. He ignored it. "You can check it," Harper said. "Don't need to. Whatever it is can wait. What if it's important? Nothing's more important than this. Right here. Right now." He pulled her closer. "I learned that lesson once. I'm not forgetting it again." She smiled against his shoulder. "You really have changed. We both have. That's what love does. Changes you. Makes you better. Makes you want to be better. Look at you. Being all philosophical. I contain multitudes. You contain dad jokes and terrible pancake-making skills." "Also true." They laughed, and Ethan felt that familiar expansion in his chest, that sense of rightness, of being exactly where he was meant to be. "Can I tell you something?" he said. "Always. When I was building my company, I used to think success meant control, having everything organized, predicted, managed, no surprises, no chaos, everything in its place. And now? Now I know that was just fear dressed up as ambition. Real success is this: controlled chaos, a 4-year-old who gets into cake early, a wife who argues with me about resting, a dog who eats expensive shoes, a daughter on the way who'll probably be just as stubborn as both of us. That's your definition of success? That's my definition of everything." He kissed the top of her head. "You taught me that. You and Oliver. You taught me that the best things in life are the ones you can't control, can't predict, can't manage. You just have to show up and love them, and hope that's enough. It's enough." Her voice was thick with emotion. "You're enough. You've always been enough. So are you. In case I haven't mentioned it lately. You mention it constantly. It's kind of annoying. Tough. You're stuck with me. Good." She laced their fingers together, her wedding band pressing against his. "Because I'm not going anywhere. Promise?" "Promise." They sat there as the stars came out, two people who'd broken each other and chosen to heal together, who'd failed and tried again, who'd learned that love wasn't about perfection, it was about persistence, about showing up, again and again, through the hard days and the easy ones, through the fear and the joy, and everything in between. Inside, Oliver stirred in his sleep, calling out for water. Ethan started to get up, but Harper stopped him. "Let me. You got the last one. You're pregnant, and you're exhausting. I can walk to his room, Ethan. I'll come with you then." "Of course you will." But she was smiling. They walked inside together, checked on their son together, made sure he had water and his favorite stuffed dinosaur, and knew he was loved. Then they climbed into their own bed, the bed in the house they'd chosen together, in the life they'd built together, and Ethan pulled Harper close, one hand resting on her belly where their daughter grew. "Hey, Elena," he whispered. "Your brother's asleep, your mom's almost asleep, and your dad is the luckiest man alive. Can't wait to meet you." The baby kicked against his palm. Harper laughed softly. "She's saying hello," or she's saying, "Stop talking, I'm trying to sleep." Definitely inherited your personality. Poor kid. They drifted off together, and Ethan's last thought before sleep took him was the same thought he'd had every night for the past 4 years. Thank God he walked into that cafe. Thank God he looked up. Thank God he got a second chance. Because this messy, imperfect, absolutely beautiful life was worth every mistake, every fear, every moment of doubt. It was worth everything. 5 years after that birthday party, Oliver would be 9, Elena would be 4, and there would be another baby on the way, unplanned but welcomed, with the kind of joy that comes from knowing your family is built on love, not perfection. The cafe would have expanded to 3 locations across the city, all co-owned by Harper and Ethan, all thriving. Ethan's company would be more successful than ever, but he'd have learned to delegate, to trust, to understand that being present for his family didn't mean sacrificing his ambitions. It meant making room for both. They would fight sometimes. Big fights about money and time and whose turn it was to deal with the plumbing emergency. Small fights about dinner plans and forgotten anniversaries and whether the dog should be allowed on the furniture. But they would also laugh, every single day, at Oliver's terrible jokes and Elena's dramatic declarations and the newest baby's impressive ability to create chaos. They would choose each other, every single day, through the mundane and the magical, through the struggles and the triumphs, because that's what love was, not a feeling that swept you away, but a choice you made, again and again, to show up, to stay, to build something real. And 20 years later, when Oliver graduated from college and Elena started her own business and the youngest was applying to art schools, Ethan and Harper would sit on that same porch swing and marvel at how fast it all went, how precious it all was, how easily it could have been lost, but it wasn't lost, because they chose each other, because they fought for each other, because they believed that second chances were real, if you were brave enough to take them, and they were. Brave enough to love, brave enough to fail, brave enough to try again, brave enough to build a life that was messy and imperfect, and absolutely, undeniably theirs. That was their story. Not perfect, not easy, but real. And in the end, that was all that mattered. If you could go back and change one decision in your life, one moment where you chose fear over love, what would it be? And more importantly, is it too late to choose differently now? Your participation means a lot to the channel. Please share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to our channel and leave a comment below letting us know what you thought. Your feedback and support mean a lot to us. Stay tuned for more exciting stories.